Hello, hello, thank you for being here. Wow. Such a joy today. Maybe not, but yeah, let's meet our suffering together, right? Yours, mine, not that different. This is what connects us. Hmm. Today, I would like to offer a practice, which is forgiveness practice. Because this week it has helped me so much, so much that I thought, oh, yes, this must be known, this must be given away. Because it was such a release, such a release. The I have a friend, a kind of new friend, and so everything went very well. And then at some point, we were kind of recurring pattern where we could not just be able to communicate. It's just that we were together, but just our presence would uh, trigger the other one, let's say. And it was just unbelievable. And it was just always the same kind of, at some point, there is one walking away, and then the other one just is, what happened again? what what happened? What did I say? What did I say to make the other person going away? Or why do I feel when I'm in the presence of such person? Um, why do I feel so constrained? Why does my heart just shrink? Why do I lose my focus and awareness? Why do I stop smiling? Yet there is nothing really uh, kind of sad. It's just also, you can, if you are sensitive to energy, it can be also this energy field, you feel it, right? And I just I just couldn't find a way to overcome this kind of tension. And I could feel in my own body, the heart shrinking. You can feel it physically or energetically. And of course, with that person, I know that uh, we've just met in this lifetime, but we have history in the past lifetime. So there is a kind of karmic bond between us. And of course, this might be really unconscious. And it might be not only the conflict in this lifetime, but it might be something that is going on for, yeah, many lifetimes before, and it's presented to you again so that somehow it can be solved. So it had been going on for, I would say, 1-2 months, like that. And at some point I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And there is a portrait of the Buddha in my living room, and I said, Buddha, I do not have the key for that one. I'm trying to apply wisdom, all I know, letting go, and letting go, no self practice, and everything that I know, but still there is some tension in my heart. I don't know where does it come from. I don't know how to open it again to that person. So give me the key. That was my prayer to the Buddha. He didn't reply. The portrait didn't reply, but he replied later. He replied later. How did he reply? He sent me another friend that day. And that friend was just so overwhelmed by suffering. So sometimes when it happens, we just sit together in silence, just being in each other's presence. Or this time it was just, okay, come here, just hug. I'm a hugging person. I'm warning you if one day we meet. I hug people, so that was just hug. Okay, come on, suffering is welcome. And what happened was just extraordinary for me, because at that point it just opened my heart. With the other friend, it shrunk, and then meeting the other friend, encompassing his suffering, saying, okay, welcome, come here. Hugging time, heart against heart, touching the heart directly. It opens. And I recognize compassion, just recognizing the suffering of the other person, not different than mine, my own suffering that I was actually feeling and couldn't really find an opening to it. And then this friend, the second friend, opened it completely, and I understood. I understood that inside this conflict, it was not a really, let's call it conflict, but resistance against each other with the other person. I recognized that I was not able to open to the suffering of this other person, right? Which might be very surprising for a Dharma teacher. But sometimes when you have very strong karmic load with people, it's very unconscious and it has to be brought up. So the Buddha gave me the answer, opening compassion. So I say, okay, I will call that friends, we will meet, and let's open to our suffering. Just that. Not trying to think about the situation, the conflict, not trying to make another person. I'm the wise one who must be able to let go and to be open to that other person. So if you start to actually create another person, a wise person, someone who is supposed to know how to deal with such situations, then you're not really solving the problem. You just create another identity, another tension around the tension, and you put pressure on yourself. I must be good, I must be a good person, or I must be able to open to everyone, which is not the practice in itself. But this is the kind of constructions that we put on ourselves. So, or let's say I'm a Christian or I'm a Buddhist and I'm supposed to love my enemy, something like this. So those are just words and ideas and concepts that we put on ourselves. But sometimes just we also cling onto that idea that we must be this kind of person, and then we lose it completely. It doesn't solve anything. It's just a loop. And a loop in I have this identity, I have normally these abilities to let go, and I'm in front of someone else. You see, there is this separation, and we try to kind of postulate or count the points, who must be the one who is able to let go, forgive, be able to be the good listener, and so on. So it's a never ending story, and you can be trapped in such loops of conflict and kind of pattern. I'm not able to really explain it very well, but you might have this kind of person in your life that no matter what you do, it looks like it's always going to the same line of I don't know, words, actions, and then always the same kind of conclusions, and then it comes back and it starts over and over again. So to keep telling the story, so I called him, didn't say anything, just called the heart, touching the heart, and say, okay, let's hug. Because I'm a hugging person. So we did that. I was surprised. That was a surprise. And if we think about our situation, then the heart can close. So that was hug. And then I took his hands. And I didn't know what would come up. But I asked him for forgiveness. So I told him, holding his hands, may you forgive me for what I have done to you, the harmful words, actions, and thoughts that I made consciously or unconsciously. So that was the first part, and then I said, may you I forgive you for what you thought, said, and did that was harmful, consciously or unconsciously. And then again, that was the surprise for me, because then I felt the relief instantaneously. And I said in this lifetime and in previous lifetimes as well. Because talking about our situation or thinking about our situation didn't help. It needed something else, another kind of perspective, another kind of understanding. Say, okay, we had enough. We had enough of this loop or mental patterns or recurring tensions between us. We had enough. We don't know what's going on, really. It's not you against me or your arguments or your point of view against mine. There is something else we do not understand. Let's start over, let's start fresh. And finally, forgiveness is nothing else than letting go. Letting go of the resentment that you understand or do not understand. Letting go of judgment, of grudges, or even this kind of stuck energy that you feel inside that you do not know really where does it come from. So, and that was it. So the other person didn't really understand what was going on. And okay, that was it. Then I said, oh, I forgot something. I forgot something very important. And then I took his hand again and I said, I forgive myself for what I did to you, the word I spoke to you, or my thought that were unwholesome. So there was this asking for forgiveness to the other person, right? Forgiving the other person, and also forgiving myself for having those kinds of thought, words, or actions, maybe against myself, consciously or unconsciously. So we have to also learn how to forgive ourselves. And that means, okay, now I can start over again, fresh, and yeah. So in my case, that was instantaneous relief. But of course, maybe it's not that instantaneous, and it needs some practice or some doing it over and over again, because it must be a kind of conviction. Now I had enough of this kind of, it's all the same thing again. I had enough. Let's start something new. Let's forget the past, or otherwise it keeps popping up, and feeding. And if we feed those thoughts, those actions, those kind of words, ideas that we have about the person, it's just continuous cycle, right? So forgiveness, and then it has changed everything, actually, from my side. It might take some more time for him, and maybe we'd have to do the practice, right? So to reciprocate. Yeah, and the heart just open again. Yeah. Thank you, portrait of the Buddha. Thank you. Sometimes just prayer. You just put your questions in. I don't know. I don't know. I do not have the key. Send me the key. And then you get it. Then you have to apply. Open the door. Open the door. Yes. That doesn't mean that you allow the other person to treat you badly. So there must be not that. It might be a misunderstanding. That doesn't mean that you become weak and that you let the other insult you, keep insulting you. That's not that. You can still put some boundaries. Yes, you can still say, okay, you're still talking to me like this, so stop. I can walk away still. You can still say no to that person, or still not being willing to meet that person again. But if it's a friend, then, or maybe a difficult person, we can call it like this, but can become a friend after that. It's really, yeah, it depends on the situation, and of course, as I said, and the karmic bonds that you have with that person. And what can I say about this? Yeah, I say yes. Forgiveness was the key in that situation, and I say. So I thought it might be useful also for you. So this is not, let's say, an official practice taught by the Buddha. The Buddha taught the 4 heart practices, Brahma Viharas, that are compassion, loving kindness, equanimity, and appreciative joy. So there is no forgiveness in that. But there is this practice in the Sangha among the monks, I think that maybe monthly, they have this kind of forgiveness practice where they forgive each other inside the Sangha, so it's a community practice. You can pick up any monk or nun that you had trouble with and practice forgiveness, letting go and start over fresh. And you can do that with other people, an entire community, and of course so you can also practice for yourself, because most of the time we are our first enemy and we can be very hard against ourselves. But if we play around a bit around concepts and categories, we can recognize that forgiveness is just an offspring of compassion and metta practice. So forgiveness practice is often taught during metta retreat, loving kindness, goodwill retreat. Mm-hmm. And somehow, if we play again a bit around the how to categorize that, we can recognize in the forgiveness that there is also the first noble truth, that the recognition that there is suffering, and that there is suffering in me and in others, and they are not different. They have the same roots, and they arise according to causes and conditions. So in this forgiveness practice, you forgive, you do not really consider the other person, you consider the words, thoughts and actions. And what else to say? Well, we have the tendency to classify every human interaction in a kind of victim-executioner relationship. Or the very first thing that, instead of recognizing that there is suffering, we tend to find someone to blame. This is systematic, all right? We blame the other for our own suffering. Yeah. This is almost a reflex. Who is to blame? For harming me, right? So, from a formal point of view, so you can see in the example, in the little story that I've just told you, it can be very spontaneous with the person if you feel enough at ease with your feelings in the moment, and you really trust your capacity to open yourself to difficult situations and to not be ashamed of that, to not be ashamed of your own vulnerability. So it can be really expressed directly, or you can do the formal practice. And this formal practice that I will explain, it can be gradual. So you can start with not a very what you consider as a very difficult person, very difficult situation. You can start with someone or a situation that includes yourself, or just maybe with yourself, that is, let's say, let's say lighter, all right? And then you gradually increase. If we could classify it like this in intensity with a very difficult person. It's like in the metta practice, we normally start with an easy person to send goodwill, love, and kindness to a benefactor, an easy friend, a pet, for example, someone, a grandma. And then we go to the anonymous person, into ourselves, and then we go to the difficult person. So with the forgiveness practice, it's more, we can also go gradually. And it's like in the Brahma Viharas we use as tools, or where to put in our intention and attention, we use phrases. So we can also use phrases for this forgiveness practice. Actually, I was surprised, because my English is not very good, so I thought, okay, I might look at Dharma teachers, what kind of phrases they use. And actually it was very, very close to what I said to my friend. I said, oh well, where did I get that? Or maybe I knew that from the previous time. I couldn't remember. But it was very close to the formal practice sentences, I would say. So if I remember well, because I had also to polish my English, so I took those phrases from Donald Rothberg. I think a Dharma teacher. You can find him on dharmaseed.org. So I borrowed the sentences from him. This is why I needed my book. If I can read myself. Very bad handwriting. So, like the metta practice, I'm gonna say those phrases, then leave some 2-3 minutes of silence. You can rephrase them. You can use your own mother language. You can use what suits you in the present moment for what you've chosen. So I would say it's like for a metta practice, better to make you comfortable. But so right now you can choose a meditation posture. Be comfortable. Can be done seated, lying down, standing. And you can close your eyes, and depending on your abilities, then you can think of a person you had, let's say tensions, difficult interactions, or interactions where you could feel were not, where you felt unease. You can either visualize that person, have a felt sense of that person. For those who are sensitive to energy, be sensitive to the energy of that person, to her frequency. Or you can just mentally call his her name. Visualize that person or just sense it. Sense him, her, as if next to you, in front of you, whatever is suitable for you. And without pushing anything, without having any expectation on the results, just inviting the possibility without being obliged to be anyone in particular. You can say to that person, I ask for your forgiveness for any way I may have harmed you, knowingly or unknowingly, by thoughts, words, or action, as much as possible in this moment. I will repeat it once and then you can make it your own. With that felt sense or visual sense of that person in front of you, you can say, I ask for your forgiveness for any way I may have harmed you, knowingly or unknowingly, by thoughts, words, or actions, as much as possible in this moment. If nobody comes to mind for you to have in front of you to forgive, then just wait. Maybe someone will happier to you that you didn't think about. Now the second phrase you can offer to that person. I forgive you for any way you may have hurt me, knowingly or unknowingly, by thoughts, words or action, as much as possible in this moment. I forgive you as much as possible in this moment. I forgive you for any way you may have hurt me, knowingly or unknowingly, by thoughts, words, or action, as much as possible in this moment. And the third phrase is towards ourselves. I forgive myself for any way I may have hurt me or you, knowingly or unknowingly, by thoughts, words, or actions, as much as possible in this moment. I forgive myself. I forgive myself for the harm I did to you and to me. And if the impression of yourself or the other person fades away, you can refresh the visualization of the felt sense. of that person. There is no expectation of a reply. No expectation that it works. Just an offering of forgiveness. I forgive myself for the harm I might have caused you. And whenever you're ready, feel free to let that person go. At your pace. Let the visualization fade away, felt sense. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes again. So this can be a very short practice when necessary. We can practice it in this formal manner, using imagination, visualization, felt sense of the person. It's kind of training of the heart, and then when that person then is in front of us, it might be easier. To be with that person again. And maybe we do not have to tell him or her those phrases really kind of spoken when we are in front of that person. We can if we want. But just this inner work and inner training can already help us reshape reshape, let's say, reshape our opening to that person, I would say, right? We have the tendency when there is tension with a person to put more tension. We think that we will overcome the tension by pushing against, most of the time, shielding oneself, fighting tension with tension. He should be like this, he should understand me, because I understand him. Really? Not sure. Because I'm the open one, because he's the one who has harmed me, so he should make the effort. And then all these kind of pattern thoughts that you would notice might not lead you anywhere. Right? And don't expect any results directly from the other person, or for yourself. It might take time. So I would like to take that analogy, because many of you who watch those talks are actually also doing Qigong and martial arts. And this is when we try to open the body and open the joints. And for that we realize, when we try to do that consciously, that we store many muscular tensions in the body. So we try to open the joints. And when we do that, so we are supposed to release the muscular tensions, right? And we do not know how to do that at the beginning. We just know how to tense. We know how. This is easy. So like with another person, we tense. This we know very well. But we have to open even more. So we have to go into it. And usually, instead of really relaxing, we want to push away the tension. So we create tension somewhere else, trying to push it. Let's open the joint. Right? So we add more tension, but maybe because we do not know really how to release muscles, this is counterintuitive to us. We try to push even more to open, and therefore create tension somewhere else. Right? It doesn't work. It doesn't open. You just have more tensions. So with people, it's the same, because that's the mind, right? So we create another framework, another point of view, another arguments, another ideas about how the other person is and how he or she should be. He must know, she must know, she must understand me, know how I am suffering, because she speaks to me that way or that way. And most importantly, and this is where the hug came from, is that we forget totally, when we are in this kind of confrontation, that the other person is suffering as well. So we are very conscious of our own suffering, but we do not relate to the suffering of the other person. And at the moment we say, okay, there is suffering also there. And it changed a little bit already. My suffering, his suffering, brothers and sisters in suffering, birth is suffering. Being born, aging, being sick, not having what we want, grief, lamentation, despair, suffering, compassion, opening of the mind, of the heart. and then conflicts slowly dissolves, right? So that was the teaching of today. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, please feel free to speak up. Any comments? If not, you can leave anytime. Feel free. You're welcome.